Hello and welcome to Gar1onriva's Bottom 5. Today I'm going to be talking about my Bottom 5 Pokémon Gen 4 features. I recently finished my first Gen 4 game, Platinum, and it added many terrible features that made me really dislike it. If you want my completely not at all reluctant top 5 list, it's linked at the end of the video and in the top right corner, and in the description. Lots of places. 3 things to remember. First of all, these are my personal opinions, so please don't tell me I'm wrong. This will contain some spoilers for Gen 4, and these are my personal opinions. If you're going to get defensive, save us both the trouble and don't watch this video. I won't be happy if people ignore this warning and then bitch at me anyway. You've been warned. Number 5. 5 mythical Pokémon. I hate the concept of mythical Pokémon, ones that you can't usually get in normal gameplay. They're the equivalent of pay to win, and in games where 100%ing the collection is a massive part of it, they are a massive dick move. That said, Gens 1 through 3 kept their mythical Pokémon few in number. Gen 1 had Mew, Gen 2 had Celebi, Gen 3 had Jirachi and Deoxys. Gen 4 has 5 of them. Darkrai, Shaymin, Manaphy, Fione and Arceus. Outside of cheats, these Pokemon are very difficult to get. Maybe you manage to get 1 per generation, but 5? That's just not cool. Number 4. The Contest Overhaul. I didn't have much time for contests in Gen 3. Sometimes I do one for a bit of fun, but at least they had respect for the Pokemon. Gen 4 super contests have no respect. They make it into a cruel pageant. You start by dressing up your Pokemon with all sorts of demeaning accessories. I'm the kind of person who hates when owners dress up their pets. And like with eating them, Pokemon have been shown to be more intelligent than average animals. That changes things. Dressing them up just seems incredibly cruel. And then they have to dance? They put Dance Dance Revolution into Pokemon. I don't even need to explain why that's awful. Then it has the basic appeals from Gen 3, but by then it's too late. Your Pokemon has no dignity left. Also, this is only loosely connected, but I wanted to complain about it anyway. Poffins. Why were Pokeblocks not good enough anymore? If it's just for the sake of innovation, that's not a good enough reason. They got rid of established things and replaced them with the most ridiculous name they could think of. Poffins. What the hell? Okay, I'm done. Number 3. Fog. Don't get me wrong, Flash was a terrible HM. It was barely used and wasted a valuable move slot with a worthless attack. Defog is worse. Much worse. Flash reduced accuracy, so dangerous enemies became slightly less dangerous when you used it. Defog reduces their evasion, but most attacks hit most of the time anyway. And in the field, there are only 5 places with fog. Admittedly, that bit's a bit par for the course for HM5, but it's still annoying. Plus, fog reduces accuracy in battle. Without defog, battles get frustrating very quickly. Overall, I hate it. It's a terrible addition, and I'm glad it died with Gen 4. Number 2. Pointless items and no PC. Spoiler alert, in my top 5 features list I mentioned the limitless item bag. This is the downside of that. They remove the PC, so you carry everything you own all the time. I get that I can carry everything, but that doesn't mean I want to. It takes ages to find anything in your bag when you have every elemental stone, power-up item and shard. Speaking of which, there are so many pointless items. Along with held items, Gen 2 introduced type-enhancing items. Each type got 1 item, except normal that got 2 weaker items, but still. Things like soft sand for ground or metal coat for steel. Then in Gen 4 we got incenses. Granted, Gen 3 had a couple, but only one actually boosted damage. Now there's odd incense for psychic, rock incense for rock, rose incense for grass, and wave incense for water, despite sea incense already existing since Gen 3. Plus there are plates for every type which do the exact same. Flame plate, fist plate, mind plate, sky plate, dread plate, etc. They all do the exact same as the standard type items from Gen 2, except the plates can also change Arceus' type. You know, the Pokemon most players will never get, because it's one of the 5 mythicals. So that's 17 basic type items, 5 incenses, and 16 plates for a total of 38 different type boosting items. 38 different items that you can never put in a PC. I'm sure there are plenty of other worthless items I've not mentioned, but these were the ones that I really noticed. Number 1. The Elite Four is too gamey. Again, in my top 5 list, I mentioned how the Elite Four were challenging, and I was pleasantly surprised. But I didn't like how they were challenging. This expands on that. It wasn't their levels that made their Pokémon tough. Okay, it was slightly their levels, but only slightly. Mostly, it was their movesets. When you encounter a gym lead or an Elite Four member, you can usually guess their moves from the Pokémon. The Gen 4 Elite Four have such gamey moves that I was constantly blindsided. You may say, shouldn't they be the best if they're the Elite Four? Yeah, by all means have 1 or 2 wildcard attacks, but not 3 per Pokémon. For example, a Drapion with Ice Fang and Aerial Ace. Gliscor with Ice Fang, Fire Fang and Thunder Fang. Magmortar with Solar Beam and Thunderbolt. And basically every attack that Cynthia's team has. They're all designed as if for hardcore competitive players. Again, shouldn't they be competitive if they're the best? But looking back, it seems the gym leaders had gaming moves too, but I never noticed. I noticed on the Elite Four because of how every Pokemon had a curveball. I like trainers to be tough because they trained a lot, not because they bought all the fancy TMs and I didn't see it coming. It caught me off guard and my casual play team just didn't stand a chance. This may be a very personal gripe, but I did warn you that this sort of thing was coming. I may have lied to get you here. I actually have more than 5 issues with this one, but I wanted to keep the video fitting the whole bottom 5 series name. So on to number 0. No region identity. Yeah, Sinnoh has lots of lore and legends and myths and stuff, but it doesn't feel new based on the Pokemon you encounter. As I've said in my GV Emerald series, I always pick my full team before I play. In Platinum, I had to use 2 Gen 1 Pokemon because there weren't any good Gen 4 options. I have never used Rapidash or Rhydon before, but having to use them is a failing in Gen 4. I actually did some comparing of number of each type added per gen. Gen 4 added to types that have seen the least additions, Steel, Ice, Ghost. It also added the most poisons since Gen 1, in which poison was very overrepresented. However, Gen 4 added the least normals, psychics and bugs because they are large groups already. It also added very few new waters compared to the norm. The worst though is that it only added 5 new fire types. 5! Of these 5, 3 were the starter and its evolved forms, which were part fighting by the way, just putting that out there. 1 is a new evolved form of a Gen 1 Pokemon, and the last is a legendary. That's ridiculous! What all of this tells me is that they used Gen 4 to fill in some gaps in the type rosters. Sinnoh as a region suffered as they had to put in so many old Pokemon, plus a lot of older ones that got new evolved forms, that Sinnoh has no identity of its own. I'm sure other people would disagree, but the Pokemon added felt more for the franchise than for the game, if you get what I mean. And finally, and I mean it this time, -1. Level and map design. Who designed Sinnoh? Who designed the caves and routes? They're awful. From the beginning I had a massive master guide for Platinum and I had to constantly refer to it. Alright, one thing at a time. Lesser of the two, level design. I got lost. A lot. That has never happened in a Pokemon game before. Mount Coronet was hell. It's designed to be so compact that it's easy to overlook the one of the many paths that you actually need. I can't recall the exact place, and when I was writing this, online guides were bloody useless for finding it, where I had to double back because the obvious path was blocked. And Victory Road was just horrible. I was genuinely stuck in there for hours. Like Coronet, it's supposed to be so tight that I was constantly turned around. Guides were no help because the level design made it too easy to get confused. I eventually brute forced it by following the maze rules where, you always stick to one side, and I'm never going back there. It is the worst level design I've ever seen in a Pokemon game. And Salatian Ruins? What the hell even was that? But it's nothing compared to the clusterfuck that is the Sinnoh map. The only good thing I'll say for Sinnoh is that it looks more realistic. It's a series of towns and cities connected by various paths. Shame that makes it such a bastard to navigate. There is no one path around it because, guess what? You have to constantly visit people and places to advance the plot. At least this was the case in Platinum. Not played Diamond or Pearl, so I don't really know if they follow the same thing, but in Platinum, Gen 4 game, it counts. Here is a map of Kanto from Gen 1. The black is the path you took on the journey. Aside from Diglett's tunnel, it's simple box movements. Here's Johto from Gen 2. A little doubling back here and there and one flight, but it's still easy to understand. Now Hoenn in Gen 3. Morville sees a lot of movement, but the rest is easy to get. Then there's Sinnoh. I am not kidding. I followed several online guides when I was making this image. In Platinum at least, you have to fly backwards and forwards so much. Follow your rival, now to the lake, now to the other lakes, now to the HQ, jump in that hole, go see the professor, now to that town you couldn't reach before. I was zigzagging so much that I was having to constantly check the guide. The map is a clusterfuck, your movements are a clusterfuck. Any momentum the game had was wiped away by never knowing where the fuck I was going. And that is all. Please comment with your least favourite features from Gen 4, as well as suggestions for future top and bottom 5s. Don't forget to check out my top 5 features list if you haven't seen it already. It is linked at the end and in the description. If you want to have a reasonable discussion about my complaints, please feel free to talk to me about them in the comments. If you want to bitch at me for not liking the thing you liked, just go away. I hated this game. If you don't, good on you, but you chose to watch this video. I can't choose to not read your comments. Vote for next month's top 5 by pledging to my Patreon, linked in the description. Thank you very much for watching, thank you for not complaining at me in the comments, and I will catch you later.